Hello, everyone. It is Dr. Jamar Montgomery with Office Hours, and we are here with none other than the legendary Joseph Lewis of Skylar Nova. What's going on, man? How you doing?
How you doing, man? Good.
I'm
Thank you
blessed,
for
man.
having me.
I'm blessed. I see you got your Ray-Bans on,
You
man.
got
I
the
see
matching.
you got the,
You got the wayfinders, but I got the other ones
yeah,
here.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I almost took your case yesterday. I was like, why is my case on the floor? And I was like, oh, no, those aren't mine. And so I looked open because on mine I have Dr. Jamar engraved on the
Oh,
inside of it.
nice.
Yeah, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, feeling blessed. Today is Wednesday, right? We're gonna have our ABC session here, right? We're gonna have avalanches coming through, but generally speaking, my week has just been. Yesterday I was here as well. I saw you here as well. It's been pretty productive week, right? Every day that I come here is a productive time. So
Yeah.
I'm blessed to be in the space working amongst fellow builders.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Dude, we got connected, 6 months ago?
Yeah, about that.
About 6 months
About
ago?
6 months
Yeah,
ago.
6 months ago, and you were
Yeah,
telling me
in this
about
very room.
in this very room. Yep,
Yeah,
yep. And you were talking about Skylark Nova
yeah,
and how it could be used for educational quests and things like that. Man,
yes.
talk to me about Skylark. Talk to me about Skylark Nova. We're going to get into your whole how you got into Web3 and all of that. We're going to get all into all that, but tell us a little bit about Skylark Nova.
Yeah. So Skylark for me was a first of all, Skylark is an on-chain engagement platform
Okay.
for brands, communities, creatives to empower their audience with gamified quest.
Okay.
Right now, why is that important? A while ago, while meaning like 2021 ish, right? When I really had a really good understanding of NFTs at that time because I started going through Gary Gensler's online MIT course, which ironically he was very pro crypto in the space, very pro blockchain. But that's another conversation for another day. So picking up on that, the one thing that started to resonate with me is the use of smart contracts. And at the end of the day, it sets the pathway for like tokenized anything. But in the case of what I'm looking towards building, it's engagement, right? Many communities were incentivized by the potential carrot on the stick, maybe it may be a token, in order to participate into some type of network effect. And that idea, right, dawned on me as I started to realize that the token is nothing more than a data point that allows for people to be also segmented and milestoned or gamified throughout throughout their time within the community. Then we saw a lot of the loyalty programs started to pop up with the use of NFTs. So I felt like there was a thread starting to poke out there, which I wanted to continue to pull on. Hence the creation of Skylark, right? And the bird, which is a skylark. Skylark is a bird, but skylark birds are known for their long journeys and the songs that they sing and the games that they play on the way of their long journeys. So customer journeys, games, songs, play. So it's just a whole level of engagement that the word Skylark embodies. Hence, Skylark. But Nova, on the other side, is actually the name of my dog, but it's a double entendre because it's also an acronym for nurture, optimize, visualize, and achieve,
Absolutely.
which is what any community should be striving for in terms of like building blocks of a community. You should look to nurture your audience, optimize what's being done, then visualize something that they could participate, and then achieve it. So I'll get more into the frameworks later, but that's just how Skylark Nova came to existence.
Most def. Okay, now when you were naming your dog Nova, were you thinking about that as well?
Nah, I did not name my dog
But
Nova. Nova was given to me, and this happened to work out.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you found it's like Skylark Nova
yeah,
and nurture, optimize, visualize, and achieve. I like that, man.
yeah.
I like that. How did you get into Web3? How did you get into blockchain and crypto? What was your journey, man?
Yeah, yeah. So I mentioned some of it just a second ago, but really it started in 2017. So I was with some friends and they mentioned to buy Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and XRP. So I did that. I got all four. I no longer hold Litecoin, but still hold the rest. But I just got them because at that time, people were just like, get these things, and I didn't really think much about it. I was not much into investing. I did have a little bit of like actual stocks, but not too much. Then I started towards the pandemic time, I started to think more about it. I actually I started thinking more about it, but at the same time, I was just like, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
It's not. I didn't get it yet. Like I didn't get the utility until I learned about smart contracts.
Okay.
So until I learned about like the actual, here's the truth of the matter is, I knew about blockchain as it pertains to IoT,
Okay.
information and things for everybody who doesn't aware of that. But my thought process was that the AI were always going to, or the AI or the things, the autonomous things were going to be utilizing these assets as a form of trust
Okay.
to work together. So I was like, why do humans need it? And then, lo and behold, over time, my mind started to shift. A, because of the smart contracts, ability to build applications on it. Two, because if you think about assets as assets are commodities at the end of the day, even if a computer needs it to run, a human can hold it and hedge against the downsides of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So, like you said, you the Gary Gensler MIT course and talking about the smart contracts is when it just that was that light bulb moment for you. But
Yeah.
before then, people were like, "Hey, go get these cryptos and just hold them."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what was your background before then? Were you a software engineer?
I'm an architect, so I spent the last 15 years of my life working at Accenture, which is a consulting firm, and it's been when I stay that a lot nowadays, just so I can make sure a lot of people hear me when I say 15 years, and when I make sure people at work hear me, I say 15 years because there's a lot of years.
That is a lot of years.
So-
That is a lot of years. Like, shoot, 15 years as Accenture, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I take that lightly because I feel like for me, I don't take that lightly because I feel like for me, that has to contribute to where I see myself going in the future.
Okay.
And how do I capitalize on that much time spent in enterprise cloud CRM ecosystems, right? So that's what I do by nature is just design applications and yeah.
Okay. Now, you go to college? What?
Yeah, I went to college. I went to 17 years ago. Yeah, I went to Penn State University, and then I got my master's at Drexel University.
Penn State, Drexel University. You see that? That's what I'm talking about, man. It's like talking about your story more. Dude, oh, yeah, I just spent 15 years at Accenture. What? Yeah, I went to Penn State. What? I got my master's from Drexel University. What? Dude. Like, you need to talk about that more, bruh. You need to talk about that more.
I was talking to Eric, he's Eric Guthrie. He's the author of Blockchain or Die, and he comes around here a lot. And I undermined my master's degree. You could potentially steamroll that into because you have a master's and you're already ahead in blockchain. You already are potentially able to become a professor.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really think about that, but shit, I'll be down to be a professor.
You should. What'd you study at Penn State, man?
Information science and technology.
And then what'd you get your master's in?
Information sciences.
Code, bruh. And then you also code.
I architect.
You architect, okay.
I be vibe coding. Catch me late night on Twitch or X. We be vibe coding.
Most def, man. Dude, okay, so you're here at the Atlanta Blockchain Center. Were you did you participate, did you and Skylark Nova participate in the incubator program here?
Yeah, so I was part of cohort 3. Shout out to cohort 3, Dab Hub, Project Pi, us campaigns as a cohort 4. But we also got Nurse Block, we got Pass Sync, we got Go Say Hello, we got a couple other key companies that were inside cohort 3.
Most def. So what was that experience like for you, man?
It was interesting. So the great thing I always tell Marlon, by the way, is the founder of Star Labs and also the founder of the cohort program. I always tell him, I tell everybody, it's not the 6 weeks that really stand out.
Yeah.
It's the time afterwards.
Okay.
Looking back, those 6 weeks were very foundational because we had slideshows and we had actual work that we had to go do, but went by so fast that it almost felt like it didn't stick. But I had a business partner at that time, and I was like, he gave us this information for some reason. We just didn't come here for no reason.
Yeah.
He gave us this information for some reason. Let's sit down and at least ruminate on the action items that were discussed.
Yeah.
And the milestone, and pretty much the homework assignment, which was MVP. Go build yourself an MVP. Go get some traction and build out what you learned in the class. Utilize that towards enabling the tokenomics. And you have to listen and pay attention, because for me, it's key. Starter Labs started the incubator because the Immutable Founder Program to catapult businesses out of the Atlanta community into being able to start actual companies and get jobs for other people as well. So you have to recognize the opportunity before you and build with that intention and pay attention. Marlon's a person that teaches by example. So he leaves clues, and you just got to follow the clues. So it was a great experience, and it still is a good experience because I've never been more motivated in my life to actually build something.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What are some of the challenges that you faced as a founder that you've overcome or you're still overcoming? And let's start there.
Balance. I think the most challenge is balance and being okay with not hitting certain things. Like I think I've developed a certain like hard skin for some of the things that I'm like dealing with now on a day-to-day basis, because like, for example, I recently got an opportunity from a new blockchain, right, called Camp, and they have an SDK that I would like, and they're about to start running this campaign that would be exposed to over 700,000 people.
Yeah.
So imagine Skylark being on the front page now of that thing, and 700,000 people can come and click on Skylark and do an activation, right? Weighing that in tow, I'm getting on the call with these people. Their SDK doesn't support, sorry for getting technical real quick, doesn't support TypeScript. TypeScript is like the most used language. So now what am I supposed to tell my team? Build something new? So just so we can participate in this thing? Or forego the opportunity, and that kind of sucks.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So but me, I'm like, forego the opportunity, man. It sounds good. You got to weigh the odds.
Yeah. That's a tough
Especially
decision,
when
man.
the odds are my dollars going into the app.
Yeah.
I got to pay my team to build. I don't want to like I already set an agenda. How much do we spend time, like, for me to build something that could fit into their wheelhouse. Now, granted, we talking to the team there, we still may this. I've developed a relationship where if it doesn't happen this time, they're gonna keep doing sessions throughout the year. So it's part of
Okay.
it is okay. Once you guys fix your SDK on your side, I'll just plug in because I'm not the only. We're not the only team that's having this issue with you guys. Like,
Gotcha.
it's multiple teams, and TypeScript is a very pretty common language. So it's for me. It's been a lesson of figuring out when to panic and when to just figure out like you live to fight another day. And I felt like I've been living to fight a lot of other days. There will be moments and times when I've, I'll just sit back and I'll be like, oh my gosh, it sucks. And I'll just wait. I'll wait 5 hours or 2 hours, and then God puts something right there. And it happens. We were here talking about escape velocity on Sunday, right? You keep working and you get to a point where your body just goes through the motion fluidly. And whatever the roadblock is, your body, to stop would be like a shame to oneself. You would not let yourself down.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Like and to get to have gotten there, right? There's times where you have to have 100% conviction in what you're doing, and I've seen that change. I've seen my conviction change people's minds in the approach, and has opened plenty of doors for me. And to see where that idea was once just a thought, and to now there's a whole industry of similar solutions that I can pretty much just point to and say, hey, I wasn't wrong.
Yeah, that's sticking to your guns and sticking to the plan and really only going after the things that are truly aligned. That takes vision because this is where I want to go, and that challenge of this is a good opportunity over here, but is that opportunity aligned with where I'm trying to go?
Yeah.
Or will it take me in a different direction that I wasn't prepared for? And having to be nimble and like how do you balance, how do you make that decision, right? Like how do you the in one sense you have to be okay with, hey, it just wasn't aligned for me. It just wasn't wasn't in alignment with me. And then there are other times like, dang man, I probably should have went on ahead and did that.
I had some also other input, and not to say I won't do it because I might vibe code something up real quick that works on their chain. Who knows? But I got two pieces of advice thinking about this. To whom's benefit is it for that to take place, right? Is it theirs to have a bunch of builders on their blockchain so they can have some metric hit, or is it to us that we participate? I think it's somewhat mutual.
Yeah.
But how much? And I had this conversation with them too, right? And they understand when you have an app that's already built out, it's a lot more like unraveling to change your code base to meet somebody else's versus somebody who's just literally building an idea solely for the participation of this thing here.
They have that flexibility.
They have that flexibility. So we had that conversation so they understand why I'm not participating. But it's just that little notion where it's like I could just pause and go build something else, but it's like, why?
Or they could provide you with a grant.
And that's where I'm going.
You know what I mean? Provide you with a grant and say, if you want me to build it on your chain, help me. Help me. I have no problem porting it over, but you guys got to work with me. And it's not like we're trying to figure it out if it works. It's literally figuring out how to get it to work on your particular chain. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the other point that somebody was trying to make. He was like, if it's not working and they're not willing to pay you, then don't worry about it.
You haven't really lost anything.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah. All the risk is on your end if they're not paying for it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because then it's...
If it don't work,
if it don't use, you have to get your team squared away because
Yeah.
they're already going down this particular track. Now you're telling them to switch. You got to switch up the way in which you think. All of those things, and then for what? If they don't hold up their end of the bargain, not saying that they won't, but
Right.
then what?
You, what if I don't even use that chain long term? So now that code is wasted code.
Absolutely,
It's,
absolutely.
but it's not to talk about this specifically, but just to talk about the decisions and the
Yeah.
way you got to balance your thought process day to day. And I credit a lot of my decision making at the level I am with a team to my 15 years in like enterprise architecture and knowing how to think about it. I'm grateful to have a team that I can like work with and manage the execution of it. Shout out to my homies in Pakistan. But yeah, I'm grateful to have that. But because it allows me to excel at what I do, which is this architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm glad that you're saying that because I'm like now in a state where it's like I'm finding myself having to be on the architecture side. That's where my strength is in the implementation, integration, and implementation side of things. But man, you've been using this particular term several times, vibe coding, man. For those that are unaware, what is vibe coding, man?
Vibe coding is you just catch a vibe coding. Catch a vibe coding is my series. I just started that on X. You can check it out. But vibe coding is it was a term that was coined late last year. But before I explain what it is, here's an actual fact. Not 25% of the startups in Y Combinator that just got into their recent cohort. 25% of them, 90% of their code is AI.
Wow.
90% of their code is AI. Now think about this. It's wow, but at the same time, it's like, why burn so much resources on prototyping something that you're not gonna 100% sure is gonna work? Now, I'm not saying that everybody's idea is trash. I'm just saying, mathematically speaking, we see all the ideas that go through the rung, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the ideas that investors
Yeah.
put money into. If you're able to officiate that entire process, and especially for the projects that don't quote unquote make it, and they're able to prove their thesis faster and burn less resources, then that is a good thing, right?
It is.
So from that perspective, I see the point. But vibe coding does not answer the question, what is vibe coding? Vibe coding is exactly that. You get an IDE, which is a something development environment, but
Integrated development environment.
integrated development environment. Yeah. Yes. You get an IDE of your choice, may it be Cursor, may it be a Visual Studio, Replit. Yeah, those are the three major ones that I've known to use AI integrations. And basically you code, you just say, you start by giving the LLM that's the integrated LLM, something that you want to build. And there's also V0, I just forgot V0, Bolt, and there's a bunch of others. But you give the LLM a prompt, right? And it just starts coding. My best workflow has been my best workflow has been pulling out my phone, pulling up my agent. Her name is Luna. I'll say, hey Luna, let's have a conversation. I talk to Luna about what I'm thinking about building. Then I go to my computer, take that transcript, and then I just summarize this as if I was going to build an app. Then it gives me that entire conversation as if I was going to build an app. And I think, okay, I read it. I say, okay, cool. Now give me this as if I was going to talk to Replit, because I use Replit. So it gives me that. So I take that and I take the previous summarization and I just give both of those to Replit, and I sit back, cross my legs, and I just turn on some music, and I'm like, okay. And then I let it go, and then sometimes it throws errors, and then it fixes the errors, and then I play with the site a little bit, and then it fix, and then I fix it, and then I fix it again. But what I've been utilizing a lot, what I do a lot with my vibe coding sessions, is I show people how quick it is to not only create a website but to create your own chat agent. Because I have my OpenAI keys, so I've created many different use cases around agents, including my own framework, which I vibe coded last weekend. I'll talk about how I did that in a second. But yeah, with leveraging like ChatGPT, OpenAI, you're able to literally vibe code an agent pretty quickly, and then not on top of that, like I've there's been cohorts that I've just graduated Third Web's crypto and AI cohort.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And they have a product called Nebula, which I was got one of the first people to be able to utilize it. And Nebula reads blockchain, and it's pretty much an agent that reads all the blockchains, EVM blockchains. And then, but I was able to just take the code, give that to Replit, and Replit built an entire interface, built me an entire chatbot. I don't want to undermine though my own knowledge. You have to know how to talk to these things. Like you have to be able to understand, like, do this, do that. And you have another reason why I'm saying that is because if you want to integrate a database, that's very key to know as well. And I'll talk about my framework now. I had this idea back in November, right? Skylark engagement, right? Engagement frameworks, right? I just thought to myself, it's going to be a future. We're going to be in a future where brands are like scientists or like people who have these like ways of living or ways of working are standardizing things. After watching the NVIDIA keynote last December, November-ish, it was like clear as day that there's going to be manufacturing frameworks, XYZ frameworks, and the little nuances that your agent does different than mine. That's worth me like qualifying as like XYZ agent framework, right? Seeing that at that time, I was like, okay, I want to have a Skylark agent framework.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about, okay, I did some research with chat. I'm like, okay, engagement, what things drive engagement, right? There's 8 levers that help amplify engagement. One, let's see if we can do this. One is setting a goal. In order to like engage, you got to know what you're going towards. Behavior monitoring, what are you doing? Watch your behavior, make sure you're doing that. Setting the goal itself obviously is part of that, right? 4, social activity. And I drew this out on the board with somebody here, but your life decisions around your social actually has a very large impact on your ability to reach your goals.
Yeah.
So social engagement is part of that. Habit formation, right? In order to actually grow or cultivate a community, certain habits need to take place, right? Emotional attachment, emotional anchoring, that's key because people need to feel like they resonate with the community. That's why storytelling is so powerful, because if we can all agree that, hey, this idea of hodling Bitcoin is going to be the future, then we all fall in line, quote unquote line.
Yeah.
So that emotional connection, anchoring is key. Feedback. As this is happening, data is being created, then the feedback occurs. And then the last one is evolution, and that's this growth, right? So when I started putting that together, I had written out and I shelved it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to work with my team to create this one day. 4 weeks ago, I went on GitHub and I just happened to see a quant hedge fund framework, right? It was the most popular repository on GitHub at that point. So I opened it and I just clicked through the files. I downloaded it, opened it in Cursor, clicked through the files. I'm looking, open it. I'm like, this is just a bunch of Python files with like descriptors of Charlie Munger, Kathy Woods, Buffett, other people, right?
Yeah.
It's their style. So I just took that and I plugged it into Replit, took my thing and said basically rewrite these agents based on engagement with utilizing my thing and and again to sit back and my legs and watch this thing go and it's rewriting all the Python files and putting the behavioral analysis that I had documented into
Yeah.
that and then I published it, then I built a front end on top of it and I started testing it out. I showed you how it works. And it works. Now you can take the social activity agent, combine it with the behavior monitoring agent, and you could probably get some type of unique experience from that. And I think that is the beauty of multi-agent frameworks, because not one agent is supposed to be this
handling all of it,
yeah,
but being able to say this particular agent, and you're able to speed things up too, and you're making your own workflow and saying, literally having employees, and saying this is your specific knowledge, and then from that specific knowledge you're going to feed this particular person, or you do this then that, or do these two things together, and then now you guys are talking about it. Just seeing all of that work together is incredible. And I know we wrote something out earlier. We erased it, but wrote something out earlier about an agentic framework that I guess we're going to be dropping pretty soon.
Don't let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, don't let the cat out the bag. But
it's politics as usual.
Politics as usual, though. Maybe not.
We're trying to break the usual part.
Maybe not. Yeah. Man, it's inspiring, man, to see you, because I thought you were a coder, right? And then just to find out, like, nah, I'm just utilizing the tech. I'm figuring out a way of utilizing the tech. I know how to manage the teams that are able to get it done. And then really being able to, from an architectural standpoint, also being able to say, these are tools that will allow me to get it done. And then if I need to go any more deeper, I can always hand that off to a team. So that's incredible, man. That is absolutely incredible. Shoot, man, what else? Any final thoughts for the audience, man?
Yeah. Start building. We just talked about how, I don't want to say easy, but we talked about how AI is we talked about all the examples where it's not surprising anymore to see the amount of AI that's being utilized.
It's accessible. Yeah.
And I was at eDenver, right? I was talking to the founder of ZeriPi, which is an agent framework, and they have invested back in. Their market cap is about a couple of $100 million. So when I look at them, I don't know why, but it's a sense of, I'm not on their level, which I should never ever say that. And I'm telling myself that, I'm trying to tell everybody that, because we look at them and we're like they got a framework, they got an audience, they got all these followers, but you know what, at the end of the day, when I meet these people and I'm telling them what I'm doing and I'm listening to what they're doing and I'm spitting out ideas and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that, and I'm like, yeah, we're not different. Yeah. There's marketing and all this push behind you guys, but when I can sit there and we all talking about the same thing, and then you're telling me I vibe coded some of that, and you're telling me that, I don't know what the code says. I'm like, bro, what? You don't know what the code says, but you're the CTO. And I'm not hating on that, because I do the same thing, but I'm just saying, it's good to know, because I be thinking y'all be coding y'all ass off, but no.
And it's literally
work smarter, not harder.
Just believing in yourself.
Yes.
Just believing in that conviction. Yeah. But having that conviction in yourself and in your skills and in what you're doing, and moving accordingly, versus allowing any bit of imposter syndrome to try to come in there. And you find that with a lot of brilliant people, because we're used to results.
Yeah.
If I cannot verify it, if I cannot back it up, it doesn't exist,
Exactly.
right? And we're like, oh, I can do this, but this is really how it's supposed to be. And so we're thinking about how it's supposed to be and that it's not there. And instead of giving ourselves the chance of saying, you know what, this is what I got right now, and I'm gonna hop and skip, jump my way over there. And that conviction allows us to do that versus the imposter syndrome says, okay, you have this, but what if there's something in the middle there to you getting over there? And that over there is actually is impossible.
Yeah. One thing I didn't mention earlier, but I'm mentioning it right now. Part of the life, and Larry said mention this too, but I like to think about this as well. Part of life is literally just set up to scare you from taking the next step. And you may plan so much, wake up tomorrow, and the conditions change.
Yeah.
And you got to make moves then. So there's a lot of ideating and ideas and features that I brought to the table the first day with Skylark, and Marlon was like, "You got too much there. Just start building the thing. Just start building the thing. Like all this long list of it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that. Just start building the thing because when you start building the thing, it first of all you're gonna start learning and talking to people, and it's gonna change from whatever you wrote on that paper. To start building the thing, and then the second thing is like when you're afraid to start building the thing, you never start building the thing.
Yeah.
You never know that because this is something. This is why I go to the gym every day. I generally have a better day after I get out of the gym. And that's because I tell myself, like, I don't know how much of a great day I'm going to have until I get out the gym. That behavior switch that I did to myself, it forces me to want to go to the gym in order to have a great day because, not saying my day is dependent wholly on going to the gym, but to know that you can take a step and believe that once you're done with that activity, a door will open for success.
Yeah.
Is convict. That's like the definition of conviction. And when you have conviction, you move forward, and you know that whatever doubt you had in your mind, it will just resolve itself, and that's the grace of God.
Amen. 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 Well, dude, you dropped a bunch of gems on us. You dropped a bunch of gems on us just from your founder's journey, right? To literally just, hey, there's a tool. I want to build something. I'm going to figure out this tool and go out and go do it.
Yeah.
AI has made a lot of things accessible, and I don't think people really understand how accessible AI is now. I can't think of anything else that a tool that taught you how to use it, that can teach you
How to use me.
how do you use you. Like literally you can ask it a question and it'll respond back to you.
Yeah.
So that right there is extremely powerful, and it really forces you to start unlocking your imagination. Instead of thinking about, is this possible? It's now, how do I prompt this so that I can make it possible, so that I can make it a reality. And it's just crazy because now you're really lowering the bar. You're lowering the bar for things that can be created, and as a result of lowering that bar, now the challenge becomes filtering through all the information and filtering through everything that's been created. Joe, man, I really appreciate your time and coming out to talk with me about this, man.
Yo, for sure. Thank you, Dr. Montgomery. And just one more thing to that point. Majority of people, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Like, to take the step and then to take the next step, you still end up at a smaller percentage of the people that actually make it to the end. So if you doubt yourself, like, pick up these tools and start building with it, because at the end of the day, it's not going to take away the anxiety of moving forward. But at least you now have something to create with, and that's how creators should create. They should utilize what's available. But yeah, man, thank you, Dr. Montgomery.
Absolutely,
I
man.
appreciate you,
Like I
man.
say, you keep dropping gems. It's sheesh. Like,
I'm a clumsy king.
I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it. It's like you have to take those steps, because if you don't take those steps, you'll wonder, right? And it's like the anxiety is going to be there, right? The anxiety is going to be there. What's the way that you conquer anxiety? By leaning directly into the thing that makes you anxious. Leaning directly into it. And I've experienced that, where I'm anxious about this, and you can get into that freeze. It'll have you frozen, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to persevere, even if it means I'm just taking little baby steps. But the fact that I'm taking baby steps and I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we think that just because we're taking baby steps now, that we'll just forever take baby steps.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not the case, because you're going to be sitting there. You'll be focused. First, you were focused on the anxiety, and it's like, all right, I'm going to do my baby steps. And then you'll be like, man, why am I taking these little baby steps? I need to be taking longer steps. And by the time that you've gone through that process, you forgot what you was at. You was like, oh, I was anxious about this, but look how far I've gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people don't, they got to tap into that.
You got to tap into that. Joe, man, thank you once again. It is Dr. Jamar Montgomery with the Office Hours podcast. We have Joseph Lewis of Skylar Nova, vibe coder extraordinaire, Accenture architecture genius. Y'all be blessed. I love y'all, and I'll talk to y'all later.
Yes. Peace, y'all. Be safe.
Peace out. And then what we'll do is we'll hold a pose real quick for the thumbnail. Gucci.